Program. Of course, this is the news desk right here on KTN News. We're glad you've stayed with us. And earlier, we did play for you part of a press briefing by the Energy Cabinet Secretary Charles Keter, who talked about, the fact that the cost of electricity might come down. And I promised you I'm going to link up with the reporter Francis Otomo, who has been following for us, matters KPLC and matters energy for some time now, and is at Steamer Plaza at the moment. Francis, good afternoon, and perhaps what are some of the highlights coming out of that briefing?
Good afternoon, Yusuf, and yes, we are broadcasting here from the Steamer Plaza, where we've had this high-profile presser that was organized, of course, by those in the Energy Ministry. To try and give a bit of light, as you realize, Yusuf, the question of power tariffs has been one of the top discussions right now here in Kenya. Kenyans have been talking about hiked power bills. Some have saying there have been inconsistencies even in the prepaid arrangement of buying power. And those are some of the questions that were to be answered here and were tabled here. And the man leading this particular presser was none other than the Energy CS Charles Keter. And of course, he was flanked by the PS himself, that is Engineer Joseph Njoroge, and also the MD of Kenya Power, that is Dr. Ken Tarus. They were all here, of course, to answer to an array of concerns that came up at this particular meeting. Important perhaps to give a highlight, one of the top indicators that was given by the Ministry of Energy is that there is an arrangement to harmonize power tariffs in Kenya, and the CS actually gave 3 months to the Energy Regulatory Commission to ensure that they ensure that there is rationalization and also harmonization of power tariffs so that we actually desist from the kind of complaints that have been coming forth to Kenyans. I don't want to speak much because here just beside me is the PS for Energy, Engineer Joseph Njoroge, who will be giving us the key highlights of what transpired today. Let me bring him, Engineer. Karibu sana katika KTN, we are live. And we want first of all to capture, there have been those concerns that have been emerging that Kenyans feel they are overbilled or they're sort of inflated bills. Is this true?
Thank you, KTN. I think before I say whether it is true about the inflated bills, it's good to take you through what happened in this particular meeting. We were taken through a presentation by the MD of Kenya Power and his technical team. And we wanted to focus on the issues that Kenyans have been talking about with regard to bidding, with regarding to vetting, with regard to purchase of tokens. And we were taken through a very detailed presentation in the presence of the media, as you reckoned. And what has come out very clearly is the fact that the bidding has not changed. They have been bidding as per required by the Energy Regulatory Commission. But there is admission of the fact that the bidding as it is complex, and there is need to simplify that bidding. And the Energy Regulatory Commission has been given 3 months, within which time they should be able to regularize and simplify the bidding process. Indeed, this was not the first time that the ERC was given that instruction. It happened more than a month ago in our offices with the minister, and it's therefore works in progress. We expect it should be completed in 3 months' time. For Kenya Power, it was very necessary that they adopt and use the modern technology to do more communication. In particular, there are some issues that are arising from customers purely because of communication. And it is important, even as people purchase the tokens, there is an explanation of how that token has been purchased with a breakdown of what the cost has gone into. Because there is some cost that goes into taxes, there is a cost that goes into other costs other than the actual purchase of energy. So we expect that in the next 3 months, Energy Regulatory Commission will have done a simplification of the bill, particularly because the framework of a postpaid customer is very different from the framework of a postpaid. A postpaid gets a bill at the end of the month. A prepaid gets the bill at intervals, and he continues buying. And there is need for that customer to feel comfortable that if I buy units for 100 shillings today, it's the same 20th day of the month. So that harmonization is what ERC is going to do. Kenya Power is going to harmonize and make sure that they do more communication and give more information to the customers with regard to the bidding.
All right, thank you so much, Bona PS. And I'll take the last interview kindly because of the man who has been so much on the spotlight, because perhaps he's the man who is now in contact with the customer, is Dr. Keter. Dr. Keter, there is a feeling that Kenyans are overbuilt.
I think, as has been explained by my peers, it is eminent that, yes, there are concerns, and such concerns, like we have mentioned through the detailed presentations that we have taken the ministry through, were concerns arising out of a system upgrade that we carried out. And in the course of doing that system upgrade, of course, we never read 100% of our meters. And so when we got to a point where we now started reading our meters, of course, there were adjustments that needed to be done. Those adjustments were either in excess of the actual consumptions or others below the actual consumptions, and therefore it necessitated adjustments. That is what has caused or had caused the hue and cry. But as an organization, we have taken corrective measures, and those who had been overbilled, we had adjustments getting into their bills. Those who were underbilled, we also had similar adjustments getting into their bills, just to ensure that we have the correct consumption and customers pay for what they have consumed.
There is a feeling from a huge section of Kenyans that Kenya Power is a monopoly, and at times it sort of abuses this monopoly. What will you say about that?
If you listen to the presentations that were done in there, it is evident that the law allows for distribution companies to come on board, but there would of necessity be requirements to invest in the infrastructure. And when you look at the amounts required to build the kind of infrastructure that Kenya Power has, of course it will take time and it requires huge amounts of resources. The law does not refuse anyone from utilizing assets that are in existence. It allows for the use of Kenya Power networks, and obviously you just be required to pay willing charges. And by the way, whatever Kenya Power builds is regulated. We have ERC, the regulator, who determines the price which power has to be, is sold to the consumers. And therefore, it is not that Kenya Power decides what to charge at any given point in time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Keter. I've been speaking there to the energy sector, regulators, and even those who are managing the energy sector in Kenya, of course, giving their perspective as regards this subject. And of course, we'll be compiling much more that came from this meeting for you so that we're able to update our viewers. Yusuf.
Thank you very much, Francis, for that update from Steamer Plaza. But now let me take our view.